Roddy Valente, local owner. Good morning, Roddy.
Good morning, Seth.
And happy to have you on this morning because it means there was the big win over the weekend. Why don't we kick right in and talk about that? Hot Stones on the weekend in the Saratoga Dew. Talked to you a couple of days before this race was run, and you said you were a little bit concerned about the post position. Then I talked to you in the paddock right before the race. You said we're going to watch the entire race here. Coming out of the number 10 post position, Hot Stones under John Velasquez. He does a great job getting out of the gate and getting over here.
She was sharp. She wasn't compromised at all by the post. I mean, if she was out further, it wouldn't have mattered. Johnny put her in the game early, and that was his game plan. And, when you walk into a paddock, you don't have to tell Velasquez what to do, so it makes his job a lot easier. She did break sharp. Bruce and Mike had her ready, and, we knew we had to keep the one horse honest, Mitch Friedman's horse, and Johnny did just what he had said he was going to do, and thank God that Hot Stones was cooperative.
Yeah, Carry Me Away, as you see there on the screen, the 7-5 favorite, and she gets to leave from the one post position. But you clear, Johnny opens up some lengths here. Now, the question mark was the mile and an eighth. What are you thinking at this point?
I got to be honest with you. I knew once we started to edge away from her, it was not going to be an issue. And I mean that sincerely, because last year when she did run in the Shoe V, she was, if you looked at the daily racing form, they have her line being 4 wide on both turns. So if you're losing that much ground and get beat to graded stake horses by 3 lengths, and in a track that I feel compromised, there being an off track, and Johnny just let her do her thing, and that's exactly what he had said. And you could see he really never had an anxious moment down the lane, and we're very, very happy with her.
Yeah, I walked up to you in the winner's circle afterwards. All I could say was, wow. I mean, this is one of those wow performances. This will be one of the more impressive wins of the meet, you would have to think. And you have to be thrilled with this. And now what's next?
I think we're going to shoot for the stars. I talking to Bruce, the plan was run her in here, make sure she's got a good foundation, and make sure she can get the mile and an eighth, make sure that it's not an issue, and we're going to keep her on a course now to basically run in the Beldane Grade 1 mile and an eighth. It's a 1 turn at Belmont, and she does love Belmont, so we'll give it a shot. She came out of the race, very, very good. She hasn't lost a day or an oat, so if she stays the course and she stays sound, we're going to try it and see what happens.
Did you get any comments from Johnny after the race?
Yeah, he was very, very impressed with her, and he had said to us that I let her do what she wanted to do, and you could see the way that he rode her. It went perfect, so hopefully we'll get lucky.
That was super, and we'll be rooting for you in the step up next time. Again, that was very, very impressive the other day. Roddy, let's talk a little bit about, again, Hot Stones won the other day, a little earlier in the meet. We're going to pull up and watch the stretch run from August 5th. Always good to get a win fairly early in the meet, and you did it with David Rocks in the claiming game. David Rocks will be the number 7 here. 7-1 gets you into the winner's circle for the first time on the meet. And again, claiming game. Talk a little bit about the claiming game, and also talk a little bit about, I noticed when I pulled up the entries for you, you have some horses in Southern California. How's that all tie in? Because you play the claiming game out there, bring some back. Talk a little bit about playing the claiming game.
It's funny. You run a horse in a 16-2 lifetime, and you get as excited as you do when you win a stake. I mean, this environment being in Saratoga, if you don't get excited winning a claiming race, and I don't care, trainer, owner, whoever it is, get out of the game because something's missing. The claiming game it's always been fun for me.
It's a chess match.
Exactly. You got to be able to read other trainers. You got to be able to read their moves. You got to be able to handicap real well. You got to see which ones basically work them going into a race, which ones don't. It took me a long time, and I had a great teacher in Bruce, and probably drove him crazy along the way, I'm sure. But it was kind of fun, and we would always match wits. And as you well know, we took a lot of horses from the West Coast and brought them back here and had good success. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't had real good success with it lately. And my focus on the game right now is with basically standing busting stones, and it's been a real development for me personally to have mares, have a band of brood mares, and then watch their offsprings. It's really a lot of fun. It's like kind of like watching one of your kids develop and become a ball player, or either if it's a girl, if you follow sports, you just love to watch them develop, and I think that's the fun of the game for us, and it's kind of like a family affair for us that all my grandchildren have bought in, and they're all young, and when you go into the paddock with them and you go to the winner's circle, you kind of get goosebumps, and it's like, I never forget, Seth, like growing up, we really never had any money, so, we were always coming in the back door over at the track with my dad, and like, if I always think, like, if my dad was here today, what he would experience with me, because he used to have horses to ride. He was really not much into racing, but I always say if he could come down for one day and see what's going on with the horses, he would be amazed, because he really loved horses. So.
Well, that leads me into, speaking of the family affair, leads me into the weekend in the winner's circle. What was the celebration like at dinner after Hot Stones not only wins, but your son proposes, and I think we have a shot of that in the winner's circle after the race.
I tell you, he went out on the line, because up here you never know when you're going to win a race, regardless that you won by 10. And it couldn't have worked out any better for Stephen and Michelle, and we welcome Michelle with open arms. They make a real nice couple, and couldn't be happier to have an addition coming into our family.
Yeah, and I have to, as I say, it must have been a nice celebration that night for dinner.
Yeah, we went to Nove. I think we had about a table of 16, and there was another, one of my good friends and part of the owner, J.R. Casal, his family was there. So, and it's great because he's got grandchildren, and we have grandchildren, and these kids just love the game. So I think the game needs a little bit of young blood anyways.
Yeah, and certainly it's easy to pull folks in up here at Saratoga. You see a mix of men and women, young and old, and so it's always fun up here. Talk a little bit about, you've already alluded to it, Bustin' Stones. You're a Grade 1 winner who has now kind of become the foundation of you and your breeding operation. But Bustin' Stones was also a homebred for you. Talk a little bit about the mare. She's a sure thing, and how did you get her?
I ended up claiming her out in California, and I really made a bad claim, to be honest with you. I got her home, and I think I got one race out of her, and I happened to have a share in to City Zip, so I just kept breeding her back to City Zip every year until she threw something, and she threw Bustin', and Bustin', that's what I kind of like about his pedigree, because if you look at his father, City Zip, his horses basically run long, they run short, they run the grass. So, I think him given the chance of, this year we have 50 mares that were bred to him, and I think we got a little bit of a better quality of mares to him this year. So, the process is going to take 2 to 3 more years to see what they, how they develop. But we're really, we bought a couple, Jerry Belinsky, Dr. Belinsky, and another friend of mine. We bought 3 nice mares, and actually one of them is the dam of Mr. Z, and he's like $1 million winner this year, and she is in foal to Bustin' Stones now. Nice. So it's going to be a little step up for us. So we're encouraged.
Excellent, and we have actually the Grade 1 win for you, the Carter. We have the stretch run. Talk a little bit about, again, this was a homebred for you. Now you've moved on and made him a sire, and you're getting a lot. Talk a little bit about the New York bred program.
The New York bred program is second to none. I can't tell you enough. People should have New York breds. The bonus money that is not in the form, you take Hot Stone, she just cleared $500,000. She's at $511,000, and I will tell you, we ran her in open company a couple of times. We've got over $140,000 in New York bred money, and I say this not to hurt any trainers, but you don't have to share that with them, so they get the percentage of the win, and it keeps you in the game. So New York breds, it is amazing, the money. I mean, and now that we stand the stallion, I own the majority of the stallion, and I get stallion awards. New York breds are the way to go. And I don't, you could still breed out of the state and breed a stallion that mixes well with your mares and bring them back and foal them here. And just the bonus money that they offer is tremendous. And, you can go through your conditions in a New York bred and then finish them up and go into open company and have the same. So if you do get a good one, it's rewarding for them.
And Bustin' Stone certainly was a good one, again, on the track and in the breeding shed. He's been great for you, and so a lot of continued success there. And Roddy, before we let you go, talk a little bit about, we had Rich Migliori in here yesterday. The new owners luncheon comes up on Sunday. You're going to be one of the speakers, I understand. Talk a little bit about pulling some new people into the game. And how did you get into the game first?
Probably half by mistake, but I had a friend of mine that had called me up. It was the night before and wanted to claim a horse, and little did we know you had to be licensed and all that. But anyways, I pursued it on my own, and he backed out, and we found a horse that was down actually at Ellis Park, and it was a New York bred, and I took Dennis Bryda down with me to watch her work that morning. It was a Saturday morning. We flew down, and she worked like in 59-3. He worked in 59-3. So it was like, this is too good to be true. It's a little 2-year-old, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, I brought the horse home, and I got to know Richie because Richie rode the first horse that I had. His name was Gravel King, and I tell you, I didn't understand the game at all. I'm being very truthful. Him being a New York bred, my trainers asked me, well, do you want to run him in open company? There's no races. I said, I'll run anywhere you tell me there's a race. I run on the moon if you can get him in. So we got him in that day, and we ran on a Saturday up here, and my whole family was here. My mother was here, and it was unbelievable. I found out quickly what an open horse was at that point. And they're showing horses 700,000, 800,000, and I gave my life savings was at like 38,000, and I was scared to death. And Richie rode the horse, and he said, I don't care who he's in with, because he had breezed him up here, and he worked him 46 and change over the main track. And he said, I don't care who he's in with. He says, they're going to have to beat him. In his first race, he got beat here by a neck. And it was a thrill, and then I knew I was hooked. And then we took him down to Belmont 3 weeks later, and Richie win by 7 in New York Bred Company, and that's my affiliation with Richie. And honestly, Richie calls me for the luncheon. I think he calls me like every year now. But I could never say no to him because I think it's very educational. And Richie is such a good speaker. I mean that. He relates. He's been in the game. He's great for the game. And when people listen, they pay attention to him, and he is so informative. So he does a great job compiling his guest, and I think he leans on me up here, and I went down to Aqueduct for him as well. But a lot of times it's nice to get, like I know Mr. Stanko is going to be there. It's nice to get a local flavor of owners that are going to speak, because I think people, you don't have to be some kind of a king or something to own a racehorse. We're just normal people. And, and it shows them a way to get into the horse business, Seth, whether it be private or starting out into a syndicate. And I like that, because in the syndicate, you can get your feet wet, and then if you stay the game and you learn the game, you can break out on your own and have your own silks and all that. And I think that's what the game's all about. And
so you can hear some of the insights from Roddy Vellante at the new owners luncheon on Sunday. Again, we'll tout that. Go to NYRA.com. Pre-register. Should be a lot of fun if you have any inkling of jumping into the game. And certainly you jumped in a big way and have been very successful. Congratulations on Hot Stones, the success of Bustin' Stones, and continued success at the meet as well.
Thank you, Seth.
All right.
Great to be here.
Local owner Roddy Vellante. We will head to our next break. When we come back, Dave Grenig from the Racing Forum will talk some racing this afternoon.